Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next episode that we have going on. I promised myself that we would post weekly, and so that is what we are doing. I'm sure you've noticed by now that we have been focusing on United States trips. So things that start and end in the United States instead of doing our international destinations. I just want to introduce myself. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Sydney Skellinger, and I am the owner of the Poodle Booked Travel Agency. And I specialize in river cruising. I do a lot of other things as well, including planning safaris, going to Europe, mainstream cruises and all that other stuff. But one of my favorite things in the world that I think needs more attention is river cruising. So I thought today we would kind of go over some United States river cruising. Just do like an introduction, what it looks like, how it is, so that you can see if maybe just traveling in the United States might be the next itinerary for you. Now, I wanted to just do kind of an overview and kind of highlight how the U.S. market has started to grow a lot. So there's currently only 2 river cruise companies that are well known that do the United States river cruise market. That's going to be American Cruise Lines and Viking, who does the Mississippi. And I will give them a star behind that because they also do the Great Lakes, and I think that counts. I know it's a lake, not a river. I know, semantics, but I think it counts. And so those are the 2 main companies that do it. There used to be another one, American Queen, which was the steamboats, the paddle wheels. That company went bankrupt this year, and American Cruise Lines bought all of its ships. So they're still in work in bringing that into rotation, but those are the 2 main players when it comes to the U.S. river cruise market. Now, for the reason why the popularity is around the U.S. river cruise market is because they're accessible. So you don't have to do a long haul flight across the Atlantic, across the pond, as they say, and do a 10-hour plus flight. They are less than 5 hours, depending on where you live. If you're in California, going to the Mississippi is going to be about 5 hours. And if you wanted to do, they also have the Columbia, the Snake. You can do, a river. You can do the Puget Sound in Washington. So there's a lot of close locations that you can do. Authenticity. So just like with river cruising in Europe, you really get to explore those small, cute towns that you don't normally see or think of as a great destination. So you can do, the upper or the lower Mississippi. You can go to some of those little southern towns and kind of be able to explore the culture and see also the best, I'm sure, barbecue out there. Really being able to experience that and try all of those things. They are going to give you also that luxury. So it's more of a quiet luxury than you'll see other places. The boats are smaller, right? So instead of it being like a huge ocean cruise that has 3,000 to 5,000 people on it, you're going to have between 60 to 200 people on board of a U.S. river cruise. And that way you're going to be able to go to those small towns, as we talked about, really be able to experience it. Most of them, actually all of them, will include at least a shore excursion in each location. There will be possibly some extra ones that are not included. They usually include wine and beer at lunch and dinner. They will, of course, not have some of those things that you think of when you think of cruising, which is going to be large entertainment and shows at night. It's not going to have the casinos. It's not going to have 18 different dining options. They might have 2 most of the time, like one main dining hall and, one specialty. But when you're going on a river cruise, you're really going to experience the destination versus focusing on what the ship itself has to offer, because you're going to go to some of those cute towns and not have to pack and unpack. That is one of my top selling points to river cruising, is that you can see 8 different locations and I don't have to unpack every time. So while I'm sleeping, it's moving along the river and being able to take me from one destination to the other. So I'm not wasting my precious vacation time in transit, which is so important for us that we only have so much time to take off, so much time to do things. So being able to just get on and not have to worry about traveling from one place to the other is amazing. So some of the aspects of river cruising over ocean cruising for those who have not listened on or have not been on one is that you do have those smaller intimate ships. You are going to be having less than 200 people on board versus ocean ships that are going to carry thousands. You're going to have that more personalized experience. Once day 2 or 3 hit around, the person who I sat next to at dinner, or my server, always knew I wanted a Coca-Cola and a glass of wine. Because priorities, right? And, they get to know you a lot faster because there aren't as many people on board. The guest to server ratio is also a lot shorter. So it's going to be like 1.5 to 2 to 1 and things of that nature. So it's very much a customer service based product. You are going to have those, it's going to have like a comfortable lounge. You're going to have your dining options. Some of them will even have a spa on board. Not all of them do, but some of them do. So you guys can get those massages. But again, we are going on river cruises not for the cruise ship itself, but to experience the destination. So kind of think of it as a really boutique hotel on water that cuts out all of your transportation time when you are going, for example, from New Orleans all the way up to the other, because you can go all the way to Ohio on the Mississippi. So you have things like that you can do where you don't have to do that transportation, which is absolutely amazing. Another thing that's kind of different from river cruising versus ocean is you're not going to have days at sea. So every day you're going to be in a new port, experiencing a new city, a new culture, different historical facts that you didn't know about, things that you could do and where you can stay. It is absolutely amazing. So for example, the Mississippi River will allow you to walk right into these historic little villages, being able to see those plantations, going to be able to try some Creole food and all of the wonderful things about jazz and doing that sort of thing. For those of you who've always said, I don't want to do a cruise because I get seasick, another thing to think about is when you're doing a river cruise, you're not actually on the ocean. You don't really have to worry about rough waters or seas. So very few people have ever said that they get seasick on a river cruise because you're never really in an area that has rough waters. And you also have constant land views, so you don't have to worry about being in the middle of the ocean. So for those of you who have those fears, this might be a great way for you guys to experience these destinations. Now, I will give you a sneak peek. So my goal is next week we're going to have Mary, which is a great friend of mine from Viking River Cruises. She's going to be coming on to talk to us about the Mississippi cruise that Viking offers, kind of highlighting where it goes, what it does, all the amazingness. So that is going to be next week. I just want to put a little tidbit so that you guys are excited about it and might tune in next week. It will also be recorded, so don't worry, you can watch it later. And then I'll break it up into some fun clips so you guys can have those bite-sized pieces if you want them. So for the Mississippi River, the role of the Mississippi played an integral part in the development of the United States. It influenced trade, culture, and expansion as we went westward. It is the largest river in the United States, and it is amazing to see how when you're sailing on the Mississippi River, basically you can kind of imagine what our forefathers did when they were starting to develop the country and how they used that as a lifeline to get from, one place to another. And some of the stops that it goes, it either starts or stops in New Orleans. So where you're going to learn about, the history of jazz and the Creole culture. And that is where we can either do a pre or post for about 3 or 4 days, really be able to experience New Orleans, go to they have a fun museum on all of the Mardi Gras floats, and you can go see them. They have the outfits you can try on. And then you also do one of the cakes to see if you find the baby inside. That was so fun when I went there, just going on Bourbon Street, watch out for those beads. And then being able to go to Natch, which is going to have some pre-Civil War mansions, which are close to it as we get in the United States, those beautiful homes that you see. You're going to be able to go there as well. St. Louis is another option that you might not think about when you think of a river cruise, and you guys can see the Gateway Arch. So that is something that you can see on a Mississippi River cruise. But again, we will talk about that next week. So I want to save some of your excitement. I don't want to give you too much about it. Just giving you a little teaser. Another river that has river cruising is the Columbia River. So this is going to be the Pacific Northwest. So you're going to have the beautiful landscapes. And I don't know if you know about the Columbia River Gorge and its waterfalls and its cliffs. So if you're very much into nature and want to be able to see the beauty that is the United States, I definitely recommend doing this one. So you can get to explore that. This is also going to have a lot to do with Lewis and Clark. So when you do this tour, you're going to really learn about where Lewis and Clark went on their expedition, how it stops for the stops that you take on this river are going to be similar to the ones they did, and following the path of these famous explorers and their historical sites. This is also a great one for our wine lovers. Washington and Oregon has a beautiful wine region that is definitely not as amazing as California. Like, let's be honest, we have Paso Robles, which is my favorite, Amador. We have Lodi, we have Sonoma, Napa. I always do them last because I like these three better. Don't tell anyone. But but you can also try some new wines there and really being able to explore that area. Another one that you might not think about that American River Cruises does is they do the Hudson River. And you can also do like the coastal towns in the Cod area. So they'll do Martha's Vineyard, they'll do Cape Cod. So you have these two different trips that you could do. I recommend doing them in the fall so you can see the beautiful fall foliage. So those are one of those things that you can do. Being so close to, New York, Boston, kind of being able to see where the prominent writers and artists that influence the Hudson area. It is a smaller river cruise, similar to the one that's done actually. The Sacramento River is a river cruise as well, where you start and end in Sacramento and it goes out to the bay and it circles around and comes back. So that is another one that's actually, I think, sold out for 2 years in a row. So if you want to do that one, you would have to wait until 2026 at the earliest if you ever wanted to do the Sacramento Delta River cruise. So with this, there are some varieties of experiences you can do on a U.S. river cruise, and there are ones that are like specialties. So we can do the Civil War and plantation tours in Mississippi. Almost all of the cruises are going to stop at the significant battlefields and the old Southern plantations, offering those guided tours, personalized service, and a deep dive into American history. When you do, again, the Columbia River, you're going to do Lewis and Clark history, their journey in depth into where they went. Go to the museum and these guided tours. Another thing is when you're doing the Columbia or the Mississippi, you have those nature excursions. So in Columbia, you're really going to be focused on the natural beauty. It's also great for our hikers and bird watchers. If you are someone who is maybe part of an Audubon Society, I would recommend the Columbia River because they have some beautiful species that you could possibly go and see. If you are an Audubon member and you are part of this group, I also recommend the Galapagos, which is not a river cruise, but is small boat cruising at its best. And you can be able to see the big 15 when it comes to those sort of animals. But I digress. For those that are doing the Mississippi that are looking at those nature excursions, you can also do like swamp tours, bird watching along the bayous. I will say, when I did a swamp tour, I actually had to leave because there was this guy. You go and you do the swamp tours. You get to see you're on one of those boats and you see all the alligators. And then afterwards, he took us back to the main area and they have some alligators in an encampment. And he literally was like, watch, as long as you don't touch their teeth, they won't snap their mouth open. So this guy had the alligator's mouth like this, wide open, and he sticks his head into the alligator's mouth, crocodile's mouth. I know there's a difference between the two. I don't know what it is. I had to leave. I was like, I don't want to be witness to a murder. But he made it out because obviously he did it the next day. But those are some fun things that you can just learn about the different cultures and see how they do it on the bayou, if you want to. Some of the cultural immersions that you can see on U.S. river cruises is going to be like the music and the cuisine of the South. You can also just be able to see small town America. We always just focus on what we don't like about the United States. We also just focus on these huge big cities that get the name. But what we also miss when we do that is small town America. So being able to, be in those cute little towns. I know I have clients who did the Great Lakes, and one of the things they absolutely loved was Mackinac Island, which is a town that it's an island, but you cannot actually have cars. There's no cars in the entire thing. So their taxis are horse carriages. So being able to see those fun places, being able to experience that small town culture is something that, you will want to experience in different areas, because we might be from Hanford, our small town in California, but how they do it is, might be a little different in the South or in the North, or just being able to see their beautiful little cities is just something that I recommend for sure. Now, when it comes to the cruises, so for example, American River Cruise Company, actually, they will decorate more they'll wear outfits. Their uniforms are definitely focused on where they're at. So they'll do a lot of the old time sailor outfits, definitely makes you feel like you're in the 50s and 60s, very much like that classic sort of look. And that is how their boats are. They have amazing food, and they definitely focus on that customer experience. But when you go on, I just want you to be aware of kind of what you're getting yourself into. So European river cruising has become a lot more popular and has been getting younger clients. I have not seen that yet for the U.S. market. So the U.S. river cruise market is still going to be older, which is fine. If you want to do it, I recommend it, because I have done river cruising when everyone says that's what people do when they're retired. And I will tell you, I will not travel another way if I can help it. I absolutely love river cruising and being able to unpack once, explore all these cute little towns, have tours provided for me, have all of this food, and have a one-stop price. I think it's amazing. So if you go in with that mindset, if you are I really enjoy Civil War history, I love doing, the hiking and biking of the Snake and Columbia River. If you're I'd love to do all the cods in, all the little islands right outside Boston, do it. Don't let someone's idea of what you think you should do bother you when you're going on vacation and enjoying yourself. I actually just saw a TikTok, because I'm obsessed, of a guy who went on a Civil War tour in the United States because he loves Civil War history. He was 25 and everyone else in the group was above 70, and he had a great time. He made some fun of it. He honestly got a huge following on TikTok, and everyone enjoyed it because he was living what he enjoyed. He was living his truth, as we say. So don't let anyone's idea of what you should or shouldn't do bother you. But if you have any concerns and you're thinking about going on a trip and you're well, how would my fitness level be an issue? Am I too active? Am I not active enough? Let me know, and we will work through it together to find the best trip for you so that you can have a great time. I didn't have that many other points besides kind of highlighting some of the things that we've talked about so far. So with the U.S. river cruises, we have a couple of main ones that are popular. You're going to have the Snake and Columbia River. You're going to have the Puget Sound area in Oregon. It's going to be right there in Washington. You have the Mississippi, both the upper and the lower Mississippi. You are going to even have some trips in Florida, doing the rivers of Florida. I have not done that one yet, so that might be something that's on my bucket list next. They also have, again, as I'm considering, part of the river cruises of the United States, which is the Great Lakes. And there's a couple of companies that do that. There's also one that does all 5 Great Lakes in one trip. It's 2 weeks, and you get to go through all the locks and things like that. It's pretty amazing, I'm not going to lie. And that one is done on a boat of about 250, and it's just a luxury experience, because what they do is they use their expedition ships that they use for Antarctica, and they bring them up to the Great Lakes for the summer, and they'll do the Great Lakes for the summer and then take it back down. So that boat is built for a lot of things. And on that one, they have like kayaks and they have things like that. So you can really be able to explore the local area. And some of the things that you can see on these river cruises is going to be those observation decks. They also will have onboard lectures, information about each port that you're going to. So it's educational as well as informational. And it's a great time if that is something you enjoy. If you are looking for a beach vacation, I think you should do a beach vacation. This is not that kind of trip. There is a decent amount of walking. There is usually like a fast pace and a slow pace group. So you can kind of make that determination when you get there, what group you're part of, if you need that sort of assistance. But you will have a great time if this is something that you want to do. If you are looking for a fun vacation, I can also provide assistance with that, because I will not recommend these kind of river cruises if that is the vacation you are looking for. So it all depends on what you want for your vacation. And if you give me the highlights of that, I can plan the best vacation for you guys. Anyways, I wanted to say thank you so much for listening to me talk. It has been so much fun, and I hope you will subscribe to the next one. Next week, I'm hoping, again, is going to be us doing a deep dive into the Mississippi, because that is the most iconic river for the United States. And we will be having some other ones. This next couple of weeks will be focused on the United States rivers. And then after that, we will be moving to the Christmas markets, because I don't know if you know this, I am going to be on a Christmas markets cruise over Thanksgiving. So I will probably be posting live from Austria. Austria most likely, either that or Germany, on my trip. And I cannot wait to see all of you guys in the next couple of weeks. If you would like to follow along, you can. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you.